Okay, so we are learning tonight Yevamos 17b. We're going to begin with the Mishnah on the bottom of Amud Aleph. Again, we're going back on the Mishnah on Daf Beis where we mentioned the 15 Orayos that they pater their tzarahs from yibum. The second to last one was ishus achiv shelo hayah bilam. So what is that case? The brother who was not in the same world, his brother's wife doesn't do yibum with him. There was two brothers, one of them died. Reuven and Shimon. Reuven dies. And Levi is born. Shimon does yibum to Reuven's wife Rachel, and now Shimon dies. And Shimon had another wife, Leah. The first woman, referring to Rachel, Reuven's wife, will go out. She doesn't have the mitzvah of yibum because she is Eishes Achiv Shlohai Balama. The brother Levi, who never was in the world, living at the same time with Reuven. Therefore, she's Eishes Achiv Shlohai Balama. Shniya. And the second woman, Leah, Shimon's wife, Shimon's original wife, Mishum tzarah. She's tzarah, Eishes Achiv Shlohai Balama. She's the co-wife. Also by Maimer, then the Mishnah said that in the event that Shimon had not done yibum, Shimon just did the Maimer, which she said we're going to go with right now until we see anything otherwise, that it's a derabanan. I mean, Maimer is really the act of kedushin, which doesn't have any effect on a Oraysa level. When it comes to yibum, either needs yibum or chalitzah to, yevamah either needs yibum or chalitzah to either solidify the Zikah or to cause the Zikah to completely go away. Maimer kedushin is a din derabanan to begin the yibum with it. So if he did the Maimer mace, and then he dies without a yibum, so now shniya chalitzah is flami sevemes. So what's the pshat? Why is the second one doing chalitzah, not yibum? Because really, midaraisa yibum can be done to the tzarah. She's not really a tzarah, right? In this case, Rachel, Reuven's wife, had never had any yibum done to Shimon. Shimon didn't get married to her, so Shimon's wife Leah can go ahead and do yibum to Levi. But midarabanan, because of the Maimer, we see Rachel and Leah as tzarahs. Midarabanan, therefore chalitzah is done. You can't do nothing because you need to take care of that Zikah. Says the Gemara, it's a grammar question. There were two different versions in the Mishnah. When the Mishnah said the line that rishona, the first one goes out as Eishes as an erva, there was a version of rishona like our Mishnah has it. There was another version that the shniya yotza mishum Eishes, and then the next line was the rishona mishum tzarasa. Reversed it. So either one is lo mishtamish. Either one is correct. It's not a mistake. As he explains, Mandatani, let's go down to Rishona. One who says that Rishona lo mishtamish, like we have it in our Mishnah. It's like we said, my Rishona. How would you explain the word Rishona, the first woman? Rishona lenafilo, the first woman, the woman who had fallen first, meaning Reuven, who had the first one to die. His wife, in our case, we said it was Rachel. Rachel fell to Shimon first. And Leah, who was Shimon's wife, only fell later to Levi. So we call the first one Rishona. Rishona to the Nefila, to the fall, to Yibum. Mandatani Shniya, on the reverse, the one who reversed it, it's not either mistakes. Shniya means the second one to have gotten married. Meaning Reuven, Shimon, Levi. Shimon first was married to Rachel. Or no, my example, he was married to Leah first. And then Reuven died, and now Shimon did Yibum to Reuven's wife. And now she's the second one to get married. That's what we call it the shniya. So Mara says, really? Milo haskina de yibim ve'akar kachanas. So why is that automatic? She's not automatically the second one to have gotten married. It could be that Shimon got married to her first, he did the yibum, and later he took his second wife, and he got married to the second wife. In which case, we should still call the first woman who's having yibum done to her, meaning the erva of Levi, should be rishona. Why would the Mishnah express her? She's automatically the shniya. Doesn't make sense. Whereas Ella, my shniya bin nisun. Where it says no, it's not lin nisun. It's not the second one to have gotten married, but it's the second one to get married. She got married twice. She was married to Reuven. She was married to Shimon. Now she's falling to Levi. And Mishnah says the shniya bin nisun. She has no yibum at all because she's an erva. Supposed to the second wife, meaning Shimon's other wife, is only Rishona b'nesun. She only got married once in the story. Okay, that's the grammar of the Mishnah. Then the Gemara goes on to explain what's the source of this whole thing. We never had a Gemara about this. Where does it say in the Torah that there's no yibum by an ishes achiv where the two brothers had not lived at the same time? Says the pasuk. Most the pasuk says achim yachdov. This is the introduction to the whole story of yibum. Two brothers together. So yeshiva yachdov, a yeshiva together. The two brothers were together in the world. Now, I just point out, this was a question in your head all the way in the beginning. Why do you need a pasuk? I believe it was you. Torah tells us that there's no yibum because what's going to happen if you have Reuven dies? He's the only brother, let's say, and his wife doesn't. He has no children. He has a wife. If you're going to say she has to wait, then maybe the mother-in-law, right, Reuven's mother, is going to give birth to a son. She's going to wait for years and years and years. So there's an automatic saying there's no mitzvah yibum. So Tosu said at the top that the case is where she's mu'beres. So she's expecting at some point she might have a zachar, she might have a keva. And the event this is zachar, there'll be yibum. So in that case, it's not such a long time to wait. So you would say there's no derech hadarchinam, just allowing her to get married l'shuk. Therefore, you need a pasuk. Fine. Continuing, once we quoted the drush for the beginning of the pasuk, we quote the drush for the hemshech of the pasuk, even though it's not needed for our Mishnah. So here we say yachdu miyuchad benachlo. That pasuk that we say yachdu tells us that they are miyuchad, they are together in nachala, in receiving from each other inheritance if one of them dies. Prat, and that excludes la'achim minaim, brothers that only share a mother, not a father, where there's no relationship with l'gabi nachla, they're not going to inherit each other. There's no mitzvah of yibum. Fine. So that's the first source that brothers of yibum are from the father. Rabba Marachim Av Yolif, and Rabba says that the source for the fact that the two brothers have to be sharing the same father. That's Yolif Achva B'Bnei Yaakov. That's a Gzeir Shava from, it says Achim here. It says Achim by Bnei Yaakov. Rashi says the pasuk Shneim Aser Achim Bnei Avinu. When the brothers told Yosef, we are 12 brothers. So it's Achim. We know that the brothers had 4 different mothers. By Yaakov, they only share the same father. Apparently, Achim also here, the only necessity is they share a father, not a mother. Why don't we make a Gzeir Shava that says Achim here? It says Achim by Arayos. It says Ishes Achim by Arayos, and over there we learn out later in Masechta that Achim doesn't matter if it's from the father or the mother. Even from the mother, it's considered Ishes Ach. So by the brothers of Yosef, Shnemasar Achim, it says. Chelsagir, it says Kieshvu Achim Yachdu. By Arayos, Rashi brings the pasuk, it says Achicha Ervas Eshes Achicha. So Achicha, not Achim. So what's the problem? It's famous. We have Rabbi Segal says V'shav HaKoyin Abba HaKoyin. There's a pasuk that says V'shav HaKoyin by Tzaras Uba HaKoyin Zu Yeshiva Zu Yibia. Same concept. The Koyin coming back to check on the nega, and therefore he makes Gzeir Shava between Shav and Ba. So it's not exactly the same word. You can still make a Gzeir Shava because same concept. So also it makes Gzeir Shava Achim and Achicha. Mar says We'll only say that we'll compare when there's nothing closer to compare it to. If there's something clearer to, more close to it, to compare it to, like Achim Achim, so we'll do Achim Achim instead of Achim Achicha. In fact, Mar says still, we have a different passage that is similar, Achim, and we have that they're not, it doesn't necessarily mean brothers, the way we understand it. By Lot it says, Ki Anoshim Achim Anachnu. We are, Avram says to Lot, that we are brothers. Now, they weren't actually brothers, they were uncle and nephew. And why don't we say from there we have Gzeir Shava, yibum applies even to uncle and nephew. No, there's something extra by Bnei Yaakov to make the Gzeir Shava, and not by Lot. What's extra? Say, 12 the children of our father. And we obviously the brothers. It's not important to say Achim there, it's obvious. So Achim is extra to make Gzeir Shava. Next question is, okay, now we have 2 different sources. We said how we know that brothers are from the father and it's not important from the mother. and also that if it's only from the mother, there is no yibum. One was yachdu, right? Miyuchadim ben achalo. We know they only inherit when they're from the father, not mother. And number two, the gzeir shava achim achim. Why do you need both? So you need both. Says the Gemara, if I only said achim, meaning the gzeir shava to bnei Yaakov hava mino leilaf ach v'ach milot. I really would have said not like we just said. I would have thought to make the gzeir shava from Loit and say there's a mitzvah of yibum even on uncle nephew. If I'm going to see like we just rejected that it's not extra, and here it is extra by bnei Yaakov. No, lai afnuyi, it is extra. Lai afnuyi mufna, it is extra. Why is Avram speaking like that? We're brothers. See, we're friends. So the answer is Shma Mino Lafnu. You would have thought it says Achim in order to teach me to make a gzeir shava between his and yibum that there is yibum on uncle nephew. So yachdu tells us no, only when they're together in inheritance, referring to very close relative, two brothers. No, meaning an uncle nephew don't inherit directly. There could be a situation where they do. The father already passed away, but it wouldn't be direct. This would be direct, two brothers directly from Misha. Because if you would have done only yachdu, it would have, they have to be really connected, really close, and that is they share both a father and a mother, full brothers, tzarah. So therefore you need achim ben Yaakov that know, as long as they share a father. Mara says, what do you mean? Where would you have thought to say such a thing? The yachdu it's coming to tell me that you need to be both sharing both father and mother, full brothers. We'll see later. We talk about a lot about this. It says in the Pasuk, when a brother does yibum, he takes the inheritance of the brother. So if the whole is a very much connected idea, the yibum that's done with the nachala, we know by the parsha of nachala of inheritance that it only has any. There's only a connection between one person and another person when it goes through the father's side, not the mother's side. So you would have automatically assumed that yibum has only what to do with the father, not being related through the mother. No, it's so you would have thought there's a chiddush that since the whole idea of matering erva is huge chiddush. So even though you're right that yibum is very much connected to nachala, which is in general had to do with the father, but specifically the heter of yibum, you would have thought if you had yachdu by itself that it needs to be full brothers. It only mattered it when it had a situation like that. Meaning we're limiting the heter. That's what you would have thought. Kamashalon, you have the gzeir shava achim achim. Period. Fine. So that's all to explain the grammar of the Mishnah and to explain the source of the Mishnah. And then we also went on a tangent here to explain achim achim and yachdu because there was that same pasuk we used. Now the Gemara. This is where we begin the sugyas of Zikah. For the next few prakim, we'll go on and off, and it's from the biggest lumdus of Yevamos. Amarav Rav said, Shemeres Yavam Shemesa. And the reason why we're bringing it here, by the way, is because on Yechas Manalef we're going to bring a raya to the question that we're going to discuss in Zikah from our Mishnah, but it's really unrelated to this specific, to the exact, that's some chiddush of the Mishnah. So you have over here, if you have a woman that is waiting for yibum, okay, so Reuven and Shimon, and Reuven died, his wife Leah is waiting on yibum from Shimon, and then Shimei saw, instead of yibum doesn't happen, she dies. Mutar be'ima. So Shimon is allowed to marry Leah's mother. What's the discussion here, or what's the question? The question is, if we look at Leah as if she's someone married to Shimon, so now Leah's mother is Shimon's mother-in-law, in a way. He never got married to her, but the Torah forced a mitzvah of yibum, forced a level of relationship on Shimon. So that level of relationship the Torah forced, that concept of the chiyuv mitzvah, which we're going to say in a second, Zikah, that connection perhaps creates the relationship that would make her as if she's married regarding all the arayas, her mother as well. So it says, no, she dies, mutter be'ima. Almaka savar, ein Zikah. We see he holds that there's no Zikah. We'll just keep it simple like that for now. There's no Zikah. Meaning the Torah, in a chanami, of course there's the mitzvah of yibum, but it doesn't take it to the level of, ein Zikah is not literal. There is a connection. There is definitely a connection. She can't just go out l'shok. So it means ein Zikah b'nogeh and nafkaminos. There's no Zikah to make it as if they're married to the level that her relatives will be usher to, as if a married woman. Why don't you say that? And luckily, like the opinion in Zikah. That's because Rashi brings it. We'll see. We'll speak about it soon. This is Machlokes Tanoim later. So whenever you have an Amora getting into Machlokes Tanoim, say I pass him like this Tana. Don't make up your own case and say this is the din. As we'll see soon, the case of the Tanoim later is where there's two brothers. He's not just the only brother. So then, in that case, you could say that there's no Zikah there because there's another brother to fall on. And she's not as connected to me. He's the only brother that's alive to do yibum. Yesh Zikah. You would have thought there's a closer connection. We're answering her relatives to. So add that in. Say ain't Zikah like the Tana, and I hold it even applies to one brother. You would have thought if you say that, then you would have thought he's allowed to go and marry the mother-in-law even when she's alive. Now, even the Torah says there's a mitzvah for yibum, you would have thought, okay, but if he goes and marries the mother-in-law, then that's automatically going to make this woman who's waiting on yibum an erva, and then she will go out l'shuk. You would have thought that say no, only the mesa. And it's interesting. The reason why he can't marry the mother-in-law is not at all because she's an erva to him. There's mamish no zikah in that respect. It's that there's an isser. By marrying the mother-in-law, there's a mitzvah waiting for him. Yibum. By marrying the mother-in-law, he's causing the mitzvah to just fall by the wayside, and that's where there's a problem. He's pushing away the mitzvah.
So the Amora here, Rav holds a shita, but they're questioning why Rav is not stating a shita like the halacha is based on the sugyas that are going on, and the reason why not is because we're going to get confused about what halacha actually meant when he said ein zikah.
Correct.
Because he didn't mean ein zikah 100%.
Right.
Because he's trying to say that we would have thought problems. We would have thought that ein zikah only apply. If he said the halacha is it's ein zikah, we would have thought number one that only applies by two brothers, but not by one.
Right.
It would have been unclear. The chumrah. And the other one is it would have been unclear the kula. Ein zikah so much so that that he would be able to marry her in a lifetime.
Right.
But he doesn't hold like that.
Right.
So he just says ein zikah, not halachic ein zikah, because if he's picking an opinion of the Tana, he doesn't want to go too far and to go into the wrong area where he's not actually passing like that. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Yeah. Okay.
The Gemara brings a raya to our shelo yevamah so the Mishnah says, if someone's sister-in-law dies, the same case of Rav Hu no Rav, right? Mutter b'achos, he can marry her sister. Now that itself doesn't imply anything, right? Marrying the sister, even if one's own wife dies, the Torah says he can marry the sister. So even if we look at her, this shomeres yavam, right, his sister-in-law who's waiting on yibum, we look at her this, she's married through Zikah to some level for arayas, for her relatives. Yeah, that would make sense. Mutter b'achos. But there's an implication in this way. B'achos in b'imala. Why does it say the sister? Say a bigger chiddush. Say all the arayas. Say the mother. Sounds like the mother is also. It's a raya to. It's a raya that really there is Zikah. It's a kasha. It's kasha on Rav. No. Who did not feel a beam? I would say that the Mishnah over there is coming to say even the mother is mutter. All the relatives are mutter. Oraysa Chaburah mutter b'achos. The same Mishnah talks about an actual married woman. So the actual married woman, of course, the Mishnah had to say a sister after she dies as mutter, but as opposed to a mother. That's the erva in the Torah. So that avada had to be expressed over there. So parallel to that, when we talk about shemeres yavam, we talk about the sister. But according to Rav, at least the mother would also be mutter, and the mother and as well any other relative. And here's the opposing opinion. Rabbi Yehuda is coming to argue with Rav Huna Rav. He says no. Like the pashas of that Mishnah we'll bring soon, she's actually also. He's also in her mother if the shemeres yavam died. Alma kasavar yeshika. So he goes the other way. He holds like the opinion of the Tana that holds yeshika. But lema halacha kedivri ha'omer yeshika. So say that. If he said that he would have thought it's only by one brother of a betray ain't Zikah, I wouldn't have known by two brothers that there's Zikah, that he would be usher, one of those brothers would be usher in the mother. I would have thought both brothers are mutter in the mother because she wasn't specifically for any brother. There were two brothers available. That's the way. Therefore, he expressed it as his own shita, shemesa, also even to include all cases, even two brothers. What it says, what do you mean? Haki pligi betray pligi. The whole case of the Tanaim is by two brothers. If you want to look at the Rashi there, you'll see what the case is exactly. Rashi in the middle of the Amud. It's by two brothers, so there would be no way to confuse that it's only by one brother. Elog yamarach, a different havamina mechaim avalachamisa pakal zika. To say that I hold like that Tana, I would have said maybe that's only when she's alive, which is the case of the Tanaim, where the woman's alive. Then they talk about a nafkamina of zika or not. But in this case, where she died, pakal zika. You would have thought that the zika which existed is no longer. And he's coming to tell me that no, the same way that there was Zikah till now, which created Isurim on the relatives, it's not going to be Palka. So the Isurim on the relatives will continue. And then just to finish, let's bring a support to Ravido's opinion. It's exactly the opposite. Before the Mishnah before sounds like only a sister. Implies the mother is going to be also, like you said, who I didn't feel being not a raya. Could be even a mother's motor. Oraysa Chaburah. Period. So we're not going to pick up next time with more rayas to the shelo.